people's headphones are up here, so they'll pick up your voice. And remember that in the question and answer, I expect everyone at least once to ask a question and answer. So that's kind of an open, spontaneous format. Okay. So the question is, should wealthy nations give aid to developing nations to alleviate poverty? Okay. Let's close our laptops just so we can respect and listen to the audience. We'll start with this team, person 1. We'll go person 1 and 2. And then we'll go person 1 and 2 here, then we'll do question and answer. Okay? Great. Okay, Leo's going to start us off. Do I come up? Yep, come on up. You can take off your mask when you're speaking at the front. Okay? Just so we can see your beautiful faces.
Thank you. So, since the 1900s, over $1 trillion in aid has been sent to Africa. This has not helped significantly at all in the quality of life improvement of the average African. Most of this money was stolen by the corrupt leaders of the many countries in Africa. Per year in Africa, there is $150 billion lost to corruption. And this is, while this is happening, 500 million Africans are below the poverty line. This means they make under $1.9 a day. This is why we need to stop funding these corrupt regimes, like sending money over and over again, even though it doesn't help. There are other ways to help, like microfinances and going there, doing humanitarian work, but aid is not the way to help. That's it.
Right, out of during last year's. Okay.
Okay. So my team and I will debate about global poverty. It's one of the worst problems in the world. So should developed countries help developed countries? I think yes. Not by giving money, but trending supplies. Firstly, most life people live in extreme poverty. That means they want, whoa. Can I start again? So nervous. So, today my team and I will debate about a big problem in the world, global poverty. So should developed countries give money help developed countries? They don't need to give money, but it's better if they trading supplies. Firstly, most people live in extreme poverty. They earn less than $1 per day. Secondly, 2/3 of the population work less than $10 per day. Thirdly, 1.1 billion population have no access to water. 400 billion kids don't have water and they don't eat. So that means there is suffering by dehydration and hunger. And they don't have access to health care and education. So can you imagine living in poverty with $10 a day and you need to give food and water to your kids? I'm done.
Okay, let's go back to person 2 of Bella.
All right, hello. I'm I'm doing the presentation, I'll speak debate on why foreign aid does not help foreign nations alleviate their problems. During last year's report in 2019, over $135 billion was sent to Indonesia with foreign aid money. 1% of that went to helping the poor and impoverished. The rest of the 90% disappeared into foreign bank accounts and offshores in the Caribbean islands. That's why my group thinks that money, especially when being sent directly to these governments, do not help or do not pose any sort of assistance to these people. As we can see from the large sum that was given, 135 billion, only 1% came into doing anything direct to these people. So that's why we believe we should be using other methods to help quench this problem via the use of be it microfinance or other methods like sending supplies like food and crops like seeds to help these people, as opposed to just sending directly money to the people. That's it.
Okay. So, as a group, not true. As a group, we decided and we agreed to give monetary and aid and vital resources aid to developing countries so they can continue developing. Plus, we can help with the issues the country has, such as infant death. Hundreds of kids die by year because of lack of water, food, and medicine. And with monetary aid, we can provide to those countries who are developing. We can help them rate the death drop, and the country keep developing. The smallest help make the difference because for them it's such a big help, and if they really need it, they can appreciate it. That's it.
I'll open it up to Noel's side to ask questions for about 1 or 2 minutes to the other team. They can ask a question directly at somebody, like Nico, you said this. Can you clarify that? Or they can ask it to the whole team. But it should be a question and they should allow the other team to answer. After about 2 minutes, I'm going to let you guys on the other side, Kareem's team, ask these guys. So I'll open it up for questions. Remember, you should try to ask at least one question and answer at least once during the debate.
Can I start?
Go ahead, yeah.
Nico, you said that you don't support sending money, instead you support sending supplies. Doesn't this go against your points, or you're just supporting our argument?
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't understand.
You said up there when you were talking loudly that you don't support sending money, but instead you want to send supplies. But this supports our argument. Money is like direct, money is like aid.
Yeah,
So you just argued against yourself.
no, I said they should give you food or water. It's more important than money.
But that's against
That's
yourself.
our point.
That's what our point is. And your point is
That's
what
what we already saying.
so you just argued against your group.
Okay, let's respond for Nico or someone on your team can respond.
I don't know.
Okay, Kareem, you want to add to that?
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're receiving aid and money. They can receive aid in many different ways. Food and supplies could be one of them, and it could be through organization instead of another country. So, for example, the Red Cross could have gotten this amount of money as donations from people. They would have bought the supplies and the food and sent them to wherever they need.
Okay, thank you, Kareem. Let's switch it to Kareem's side. You guys want to ask a question to this team. You can direct it at an individual or at the whole team.
said that most like foreign aid doesn't help the poverty of countries directly given to the government.
Right.
Would you support it if it's given to an organization?
If that organization could be trusted, like the Red Cross, and has years of experience behind that, yeah.
Okay. We went person three from this side.
Did you know 5 kids under the age of 5 died every minute in Africa due to poverty? This is not due because the developed countries doesn't give enough aid. It's because the corrupt governments keep it all to themselves. One friend from Nigeria called Atiku, he told me a story about the aid. He told me that the aid is not good in Africa due that the governments only want to keep them to themselves. They don't care about their citizens, and they only care about growing their political party and living their luxury life. This makes us realize that in Africa the politicians only care about themselves. So this makes me do you a question. Why do you think developing countries should keep giving aid to African governments? Thank you.
We go to person three on the other side.
She's not here.
Who's that?
Maya.
Oh, yeah, okay. I have a speech on my phone. So I have Maya's speech here, so I'll read it for her. There are many children who die from sickness and don't get educated. They don't have opportunities like you do sitting in this classroom here today. For example, Kenya is one of the most impoverished countries, and their economy is considered lower to middle income. This severe poverty is mainly caused by economic inequality, government corruption, and health problems. There's a girl who lives in a village in Kenya. Her name is Sarah. She's just a few years younger than you. In her village, there's no clean water, and she has to get clean water from a river. She carries about 25 kilograms of water, but it's not sufficient for her daily life, so she has to go 2 or 3 times a day. And guess what? She doesn't get to go to school like you do. She has to quit school to carry the water and support her family, even though she loves school. It's a fictional story, but there are many situations just like this that happen in Kenya and many other developing countries around the world. Don't you want to help them? Aid can bring clean water by getting pipes from the river to the villages so they can have time to go to school and have a better life. Aid can change people's lives. Helping ease poverty. We can help these people. We must help these people. We must help fight poverty. Okay, shall we go on to person 4? Should I put the crowd there so they can see? Sure.
So I'm going to explain why we shouldn't give like aid to other like developing countries or poor countries. So it might sound kind of crazy, but foreign aid often hurts rather than helps. Defen argues that by helping poor people, we're not actually helping them, and we're just slowing their growth. So in 2014, the most developed countries gave 135 billion dollars to like African countries, and it actually didn't help, as the graph shows. Also, during 1980s and 1990s, Africa did like worse. Yeah. There are some other ways to help like developing countries, like microfinance. We can like help the exact person, not just giving money to them, because it shows that it doesn't help that much. Yeah, that's it.
Can you just make sure this is the graph? Just make sure you want to point out the year and everything.
Which 1980s and 1990s and they did worse. They're doing better without aid.
Everybody understand that? What's your source for that?
The website that called like the word.
Right, let's go back to the person on the other side, person four. Who's that? Who is that? Adele. Oh, yeah, she did good. Okay. Maybe we'll ask them to do it tomorrow. I'll read her speech. Okay. Adele says, according to the World Bank estimates that in 2020, compared to 2019, 40 to 60 million people will fall into extreme poverty. That's a huge number. That means they live under less than $1.90 a day. And that's just from COVID, depending on the assumptions on the magnitude of the economic shock. The global extreme poverty rate could rise by almost 1% to around 9% of the total world's population in 2020. And because of that, between today and tomorrow, 40,000 children will die of starvation. 40,000. Every week, more than 250,000 children die from preventable deaths like malnutrition and illness. One of the examples is diarrhea, something that we've all had, but it claims the lives of 16,000 children every single day. Just like that girl Sarah that Maya mentioned. It could be prevented by antibiotics, usually costing under $1. The aid needed to prevent the great majority of child illness and death in the next decade is equal to the amount of money spent in the U.S. to advertise cigarettes. In addition, studies show that foreign aid was effective in reducing poverty. Studies show that it was effective in reducing poverty. And it highlighted that if the aid is targeted for public purposes, such as agriculture, education, health, and other social services, it can be effective. And aid is dispersed through production sectors like infrastructure and economic development, was even more effective in reducing poverty. Therefore, we believe that wealthy countries should give aid to developing countries in order to improve the situation in the whole world. It can and does work. You guys a minute to maybe brainstorm some questions you would like to ask the other team, and then I'll open it up for question and answer, okay? So have a quick chat with your team, 1 minute. Think of some questions you want to ask the other team.
For the whole team, I have a question. Would any of you do any do any of you have any statistics outside of Africa? Because all of you guys, Indonesia, we're where?
Indonesia, where $135 billion in aid was donated, and only 1% of that went to help the people, and the other 99% was traced to the offshore bank account.
By the way, did you make research about the America's aid to the Europe? And it actually worked? Did you know that? Right after World War II. America to Europe? Yeah.
Europe has less corruption than Africa. At the time, they were just rebuilding from war, so the situation is different. You cannot compare.
The problem is not because of corruption in the government.
That's why the aid doesn't actually help.
Anybody else? Okay, let's hear a question from either team. Anybody from the other side? No questions?
Okay, I have a question for your team.
Okay, Jerry.
Adele just told us that 40,000 kids in Africa died because of poverty. Like, in total, 150 billion have been donated to Africa, and all of that money was spent with corruption. Why do you think it's good to keep giving them money if they're just going to use it for their own good?
Well, if you give it to the governments directly, it could be corrupt. The government officials could steal it for themselves. But if you give it to a government with a public kind of view, and everyone gets to see how you donated this amount to this country, and you make sure to see how the country uses the aid, and you can kind of like I'm looking for the word that's like kind of move the country into its way out of corruption with using organizations, and if you find out that they're corrupt, then other countries can go against them for that.
Question from that side?
Okay, so you're saying that most of these governments are corrupt and they're stealing, but if statistics show that foreign aid actually helps, how is not giving another country money gonna help them more than giving it to them?
We have other means at our disposal besides just for microfinance. We have sending supplies over. We don't need to necessarily send them the money directly.
You don't need to send it directly. It means supplies through an organization.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, should we go on to person 5?
We don't have a person 5.
Okay. No,